Secretary of State John Kerry isn't happy about Putin's actions in Ukraine, and the markets aren't taking it too well either. Emerging markets fell the most in a month as Russia's occupation of Crimea spurred the worst sell-off in the MICEX index since 2008. That's Russia's benchmark equity index. U.S. and European markets also falling on all the global uncertainty that we're discussing here today. And for more, we'll get Wall Street's take on the turmoil. Hans Humes, Greylock Capital Management Chairman and CEO, is with us, as well as Jay Pulaski, J2Z Advisory, President and Founder. Great to have you guys here because you both have so much experience investing in emerging markets. Let me ask for your take on what's going on. I know you, Hans, have a Ukrainian guy in your office. You've been talking with people on the ground there, and you have already made investments. I'm not sure if you're still live there, but what do you think about the situation as it's developing?
Well, I mean, geopolitically, it's really tricky. I think the U.S. and the U.K. have a big political issue in '94 when the Ukraine gave up their nuclear weapons. The U.S. and U.K. Signed diplomatic papers saying that they'd protect the borders. So there's certainly some huge potential implications with Iran. I think
right, well, clearly that's all gone in the trash.
Well, you know, I mean, let's see. Why do you think the U.S. and the U.K. are being so strident? It's because they're on the hook for this. I think that on the market side, what we found really fascinating is that we did take a position in the bonds. You were nice enough to call it a hero trade, and maybe calling things a hero trade before they come to an end.
It sure was if you sold on that day.
Yeah, actually would have worked.
You bought Ukraine debt.
We bought Ukrainian debt a couple weeks ago. We actually scaled in a bit more, but the way things transpired over the weekend with Yanukovych leaving and the Russians coming in certainly threw things into a bit of turmoil. What's interesting is
yields must be going way up.
They're not as bonds didn't fall as much as they did a week and a half ago. So the market is looking. Well, think about this. If there is a transition, it's going to have to be, the West is going to have to step up with this now.
And
I mean, there's no way you can cut it loose.
To itself, the U.S. and the EU.
In terms of payment capacity, the latest stress test that just came out said that with a 45% devaluation and a 5% contraction, you still have debt to GDP.
It makes sense. How can we not get involved, Jay Pulaski? I mean, in other words, are we going to let Putin get away with yet another...
and forget Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, this is the real place to get involved,
and Georgia,
right?
Don't forget Georgia.
Well, I actually think this is the exact wrong question. I think the question is who wants to yoke themselves to the Ukraine. The Ukraine is a bankrupt country, and neither the EU nor the U.S. nor Russia certainly wants to take on those liabilities.
Well, apparently Russia does, because you know what? He's got a pretty important warm water port there in Sebastopol.
Well, of course, yes, that's an issue.
So he needs that for his navy.
Okay, but we're talking markets, not national security. So my thinking is
So you're saying why would anybody want to be in Ukraine?
Well, why would anyone want to pony up the money that's going to be necessary to sustain the Ukraine? And I think what this means is that Russia, or the opportunity, and I'd love Hans' thought on this, the opportunity is to short the ruble. Whether Russia goes in to the Ukraine and fights, the ruble is going to fall. If Russia just kind of occupies part of the Ukraine, the ruble is going to fall. This is ruble negative, and that is, at least within the Ukraine and Russia, that to me is the investment.
Yeah, I differ on your point. Why would anybody want to be involved with this? Because I think it goes beyond economic. It's political. However, I agree with you. The idea that the ruble is going to fall anyway you look at this,
Let's ask Hans
it's not good
it.
for them. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I think whatever you see Russia doing, you have to realize they're really not negotiating from a position of strength. It's weakness. I mean, they've got fewer cards in their hand, and playing this hard, I would agree. I don't think you need, you're looking at a bullish situation from Russia regardless.
And what this does elsewhere, I mean, I think it's very negative for the broad emerging markets. It's very anti-growth. It's very stagflationary. You're having emerging market currencies decline while the price of their major inputs, food and fuel, are going up in more expensive dollars. So the outcome for this globally is very anti-growth, and I think it has real implications, not so much for in the Ukraine or Russia, but I think the implications are much wider in terms of treasuries, how appealing they are, the dollar, Japan, things of that nature. That, to me, is where one should cast their eye.